We are now going to do an example on your homework on 6.4, and this is dealing with the confidence interval for the standard deviation and variance of 10 bottles of cough syrup. And make sure that you have your chi-square chart available and that you have your formulas available for this one. Now, notice that we have our 95% confidence interval. And so looking at the chi-square chart, we are going to be dealing with degrees of freedom and not necessarily n. And so if n is 10, our degrees of freedom are 10 minus 1, or 9. If we have a 95% confidence interval, just sketching that out on the chi-square chart, we know that we want 95% of our data to fall into this realm. And so now we've got to figure out how much area is in each of the wings. To do that, we're going to take 1 minus the 0.95 so that we have 0.05 split between the two wings. If I divide that by 2, that gives me an area of 0.025 in each wing. Now, sketching that part out and keeping in mind chi-square is always the area to the right. So when we look this up on the table, we're going to be looking for 0.025 for this one, and we'll be looking for this 95 and the 0.025, so 0.95 plus 0.025, or 0.975 total as an area to the right of this cutoff. So I'm grabbing my chi-square distribution chart. I know I have 9 degrees of freedom. And if I look under my 0.975 for my left bound, 0.975 and 9 gives me a cutoff of 2.7. If I look for the other side, I'm still under 9 degrees of freedom, and I'm going to follow that over to 0.025. That will give me a right cutoff of 19.023. So I'm going back to my drawing here, and I'm going to label in my left bound and my right bound on the chart. Now if I look at those formulas, I've got everything I need except for the standard deviation. I know that n is 10, and I now have both chi-square values right here. Notice that they flipped them, so that chi-square right, the 19.023, will be over here, and the 2.7 will be on this side. It has to be that way in order for the smaller number to be on the left and the larger number to be on the right. The only thing we're missing is our standard deviation for our sample. What we'll be doing for that is going back to what we learned in Chapter 2. On our calculator, we're going to go back and go into our stat, and we are going to put that information into a list. So we'll go under Edit, and I've already entered in all those cough syrup examples. So all of these are the ounces for that cough syrup. Now I'm going to go into Stat and to Calc, and I'm going to do the one variable stats just like on Chapter 2, and I'm going to do that for List 1. Right here I have my standard deviation for the sample of 0.0301691528. So that's the standard deviation I'm going to use for this formula. Now, one thing you have to be aware of is how many decimal places they're asking for in that answer. Always go beyond that for your calculations to make sure you don't have a rounding error. So when I put these numbers into the formula, I am going to put in this many digits just because I know they're going to have me round to 6. So I put in 8 digits on that standard deviation. Here's my n minus 1, so 10 minus 1 is 9. Here's the standard deviation from my calculator, and I'm going to square that. And here is my chi-square right, the 19.023. Notice that number up here from my cutoff. Over on this side, I have 9 times my standard deviation squared, and I'm dividing by my left cutoff, the 2.7. When I do those calculations out, now look at your calculator closely, because it will be in scientific notation. It will actually say 4.30615, and then it'll have E negative 4. So you have to know to back it up 4 places, which will give you 3 leading zeros. So this would be my left bound, and this would be my right bound. To get the standard deviation from these variances, all I have to do is take the square root of this number. Make sure you're rounding appropriately for what the calculator or what the computer is asking for its final answer. Good luck with this, and let me know if you have any questions.